hello, everybody.
Hello.
Thank you for coming. I just want to thank JB and everybody here, the crew that put this all together, and all you great speakers that were here. Thank you for coming. I know everybody came out of their way, and really appreciate it. Let's have a good time. Whew. I suppose you're wondering what the baggage is, or the luggage is for. I'll get back to that. So, what does love or compassion have to do with the sales cycle? Everything. Little background on me. I've been in sales pretty much all my adult life, and in real estate for 40 years. And I am a licensed broker, obviously, and a realtor. I am also a certified real estate appraiser, have my own appraisal company, so that's 2 businesses I work in. And I am co-founder of C&J Coaching, along with my beautiful wife over here. So that's 3 businesses. And I'm retired. And I'm actually proud to say that I just turned 70 on May 8th.
Ooh,
and I love it. So it's gonna be great. Life's just beginning. So I'm gonna go through a story, tell you a bit about my life, and what changed, and what brought me here today. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I am the husband of Cindy, and I am a father of 3 grown children. And between us, we have 7 grandchildren. I'm a bit of an entrepreneur. I've bought and sold multiple successful businesses over my career. And part of our coaching is I mentor and train a lot of younger, newer agents, especially, mostly real estate people, but I do other business people as well. And I considered a real estate or a market expert by my peers with all my years of experience. And I consider myself a lifelong learner, because if you're not learning, then you're dying. So I grew up in the Boston area, Boston, Massachusetts. Anybody here from Boston? No? Okay. Beautiful city, a lot of universities and whatnot. When you grow up in that area, and especially the atmosphere I grew up in, one thing you learn quick about them is we drive fast, we work fast, we talk fast. We talk so fast that we drop the letter out of the alphabet to save time. Because we just park our car. So get a little taste of that, okay? I learned at a very young age that I had a natural ability to sell or influence people, my friends. As a teenager, I can remember my friends saying, "Joe, you're just a natural, you're good at talking people into things." So as time went on, I eventually did get into sales. And I got good at it. And I thought, yeah, this is cool. However, the problem was, all I cared about was making the sale. I didn't care about what they bought or if they even needed what I was selling them. As long as they signed the paperwork and I got my commission. All about the money. And my former wife used to tell me you could sell ice to an Eskimo. I didn't just sell regular ice. No, 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 no. Mine was imported, diet, calorie-free, decaf ice. The best there is. So you get a premium price for it, right? Make more money. And the problem was, I started to believe that I am better than everybody else. And you're not as good as I am. I'm the best. And it was all about me. Got very egocentric, self-centered, self-absorbed. Not only that, as I grew up, I became a person I thought my friends and my family wanted me to be. Because I think we all have this desire. We all want to be loved, right? And I wanted to be loved. So that happened. Well, when just shy of my 40th birthday, we decided to make a drastic life change. Moved from New England with my wife and 3 young children of 10, 7, and 5. All the way down to the deep south, to Charleston, South Carolina. Anybody been to Charleston? You have? Great. You from Charleston?
Yes.
Yes. A native. If you haven't been there, it's a beautiful city. I highly recommend you put it on your list. And if you want advice and tips on what to do and see there, just reach out to me. Be happy to help you. And when I moved down there, I knew I had to make a living for my family. And I thought, I'm gonna start my own business. I got tired of listening to other people telling me what to do. And I knew I could do it because I had the ego. And yes, oh, that's another thing. I used to run over a lot of people in my sales too. And when you're in the Massachusetts area, especially around Boston, and you piss people off sometimes, they have a term for that. You're known as a masshole. So that was me. I was the epitome of it. I didn't care. I was making money. So I poured all my time and my energy into building a new business. Come on in, the water's fine. And after I put all my time and energy into it, 24/7, been an entrepreneur, you know how that is. It worked. I became very successful. And in a few short years, I grew to have the second largest firm in Charleston. And yes, I got to have that home in the country club, on the golf course with the in-ground pool. I thought, I've done it. I am successful. I've made it. And I had my ego to thank for that. So I was great. That worked for a few years. Everything was going along wonderful, making tons of money. Then, for those of you that may be old enough to remember, in the United States, we had the real estate market crash in 2008. And everything that I had worked 20 years to build up just disappeared in front of me. It was gone. And I was left struggling. And it was so bad. One of the things I tell people is business problems are personal problems, and personal problems are business problems. They're interwound because they're in you. You can't go to work and not think of family problems. You can't be at home and not worry about your work. What did that do? Well, not only did I lose my business, I lost my home, but more importantly, my marriage of 37 years dissipated and eventually ended. And maybe worst of all, in hindsight, spending all my time and energy on my business, I did not have a good relationship with my children. That probably hurt me more than anything. Now, it took a few years to get over that and recover and come back. But I did. And I started to make a lot of money again. But it felt different. Didn't seem the same. And I thought I was successful. And then I started to think about it. What is success? Real success. So, just rudimentary thinking, I'm thinking, well, there's a definition in the dictionary, look it up. But nowadays, we don't need that. We got Professor Google. And when I Googled it, I actually found out there are dozens, if not hundreds, of definitions of success. So I found one that I thought resonated best. What is success? To me, it's being able to pursue your dreams, pursue your goals, and attain them with full integrity, instead of just doing what others expect you to do. And I want to tell you a story of how that changed me. And it finally came to the forefront, and I realized a change was needed. As I said in the beginning, one of my jobs is I coach and train and mentor, especially newer, younger agents. And one of my brand new agents came to me. He says, Joe, I got a great lead on a listing appointment, and I really don't want to lose this. It's my first one. It's a $600,000 property, and I know that you're the best at this. So I would like you to come along and do the presentation for me so I could watch and learn from the best and get this listing so I can start making money. Do you think that didn't feed into my ego? Yeah. The proverbial get the head out of the room, yeah, that was an issue. I said, of course I can do that. That's what I do. I said, so let's prepare for it and get ready and go to that appointment. So I walk over here, and I said, okay, we're ready to go. She said, what's all that? I said, anytime, I never go on an appointment without this. This is my bag of tools. Everything I need is in there. So we go on that appointment, and everything is going wonderful. And the girl that we're trying to list her home, she loved it. Loved our marketing, loved me, thought we're the best that she had seen. And one of the things in our industry is if you don't get that listing signed on the first appointment, your odds of getting that signed drop 80% when you walk out the door. That's if you can get it at all, because they're interviewing multiple agents. And there's somebody might come in behind you and they like and they're gonna sign. And they're better at getting it signed than me. That's not gonna happen on my watch. So, remember, I'm focusing on impressing the agent. I'm not focusing on my prospect. So the objections come up, and I know them all, and she's saying, Joe, I love it. I just want time to think about it. I need a day or two. I said, no problem. But let's just go ahead and get the paperwork signed. Anything changes, you can change your mind. She goes, yeah, but I really don't like to sign anything on the first appointment. And in our particular paperwork, we do have a clause that says you may cancel anytime, no fee. So I use that, and I said, we spent almost 3 hours here with you this evening, and I don't want to waste another evening on you. So how about if we get the paperwork signed now, and then if you change your mind for some strange reason, of course I don't think she's going to, then just let us know, and we'll cancel, we'll rip up the paperwork. No harm, no foul. So now when I look back in hindsight, reluctantly, yes, she did sign it. We walk out of there, we're debriefing on the way back to the office, the agent can't believe I did it. He says, I never could have done that. He says, thank you. So everything's going great. And the next morning we're in the office and she's telling all the other agents how great I am. Because I'm getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? I'm like, yes, I am the best. And all of a sudden we get a text. And the text said, Joe, like I said last night, I really love you. I thought you were great, but I want to cancel the listing. I said, why? I couldn't understand it. And not to mention the embarrassment in front of these new agents. So he reached out to her to see what happened, what changed her mind. And she said, I wanted to sign with you, I loved everything, but I told you I wanted to think about it. And you put pressure on me, and I do not like to be pressured like that. So I just didn't feel comfortable. And I found another agent who didn't pressure me at all. And I felt more comfortable with them. So I decided to work with them instead. Ouch. Take that, just kind of put it off to the side. So that really got me thinking. I said, okay, what's going wrong here? I had my ego, it was making me successful. Oh, but was it? Maybe it wasn't. And I started to realize it was letting me down more times than I cared to admit. I didn't want to admit I was wrong. So I started to think there's something else. There's got to be something else that you can combine with this that can really make everything work. As fate would have it, a few years ago, I met my beautiful wife here, Cindy. Shortly after we met, she got me right away. And she said, Joe, I think I know what you're missing. Oh, really? You think so, huh? Then you tell me. Come on. Luck of the Irish is here now. Beautiful. So I said, go ahead and tell me what's wrong. And she said, if you really want to be successful, you need to be your true self. You need to be who you are at your essence, your core, what your values are. Ouch. I hadn't thought about that. I thought it was there already. So shortly after we met, she highly recommended I go to a group guided meditation with her. How many people in the room, just by a show of hands, have been to meditation, do meditation, at least familiar with it, right? Great, everybody, that's awesome. What I'd like to do is take a minute and just kind of, not gonna go through it all in detail. We're gonna take a minute or two and just go through the highlights of it because it's very important to what changed me. I hope I can get through this. Okay, so as you know, and you can join along with me or not, it's your choice. As you know, in a meditation, they first get you nice and calm. So you take a few deep breaths, a couple of breaths in, like breathe in, slowly breathe out, close your eyes, breathe in again, just let everything go, and slowly breathe out. So we get into the heart of the meditation. So I want you to envision yourself at the edge of a meadow. Beautiful, beautiful grasses, a few wildflowers here and there. Picture perfect day. Beautiful blue skies up above, a few puffy white clouds now and then. Idyllic temperature. You're neither hot nor cold. And there's a light wind just gently blowing on your face. And you can pick up the faint scents of the wildflowers. Then we're instructed to look across the field, the meadow, and we see this giant shade tree. And we're instructed to get up and walk through the meadow and go across to the tree. As we reach the shadow canopy of the tree, you look down and you see a big hole in front of you. And there's a ladder sticking out of it. And you're instructed to walk over and look down that hole. Now it's pitch dark. You can't see more than 2 or 3 feet down. And you're instructed to go down that hole. And at this point, whatever fears you have, bring them to the surface. Now, you don't want to have fear going down that hole. So think of a person or an entity, either in your current life or in prior lives, or someone in your past family that you know loves and trusts you more than anything in the world, and you know that you can love and trust them more than anybody in the world. Take a second, just think of someone. Now, that person's gonna hold your hand, they're gonna take you down to the bottom of that hole, they're gonna keep you safe and you have no fear because you can trust them. After a few minutes, you come back up, come out of the hole, and you thank that person, and then they leave the same way they entered. To close out the meditation, we're instructed to walk back across the meadow to our original spot, and then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So at this point, the guide said, let's go around the room and ask, who was that person? Who was that entity that you trusted more than anybody in the world, and you knew loved you? It would keep you safe. And people started saying what I thought was the obvious. Well, my mother, my grandmother, my husband, my wife, someone like that. I even heard one lady say Jesus Christ. Another one said Buddha. And they came to me. And they said, how about you, Joe? I said, well, I'm not sure I did this right. It's because I didn't have anybody like that. Person I took, because I trust them more than anything and love them more than anything, was me as a 6-year-old. Wow, everybody went, why you as a 6-year-old? Well, the thought that came to mind was, up until I was 6 years old, there was nothing wrong with the world. You're taking everything in, you're learning. I was still living at home, I hadn't gone to school yet. Because back in my day, we didn't go to school till you were 6. I think today they start at 3 months, it seems. Anyway, I had the home life, and it was nothing but love. And I thought, why can't everybody just love each other? When you have arguments, disagreements, spouses argue, groups argue, war. Why are we killing each other? What's that proving? What's that doing? If we could just talk to each other, understand we have differences, and accept them for who they are, we could all get along wonderfully. And that was when I knew I had the missing element. I just had to be me. And once I realized this, the ability I had to connect with people and start to put them first and look out to protect them instead of me, that's when great things started to happen for me. Just as some data background, our industry, we close at roughly 20% on your first appointments, 20% closing rate. I was already a top agent. I was in the top 10% of all the agents there are. And I was closing at 37%. But within less than a year, implementing tools I've learned and having this change in attitude, I went from 37% up to 86% in less than a year. All of a sudden, I'm making a lot of money. I'm showing up on the leaderboard. So much so that the owner of the real estate company I'm associated with called me into his office, wanted to have a meeting and talk about it. I said, Joe, what's changed? All of a sudden, you're just blowing everything up. So after we talked about it, that meeting eventually led to him hiring Cindy and I to come in and train the agents for a year, a paid gig. Like, whoa, really? Okay, good. And not only that, one of the tools that I'm familiar with, and we do train, is learn how to connect with people in less than 90 seconds. Find out what their value base is and how to connect with them. And that, one of those features is you can close more sales in less time. Now, financially comfortable, let's put it that way. So I thought, I don't need to make a ton of money and work so much at my age, but I could make as much money in half the time. Hello? That gave me half my life back, half my time back. Time to spend with my beautiful wife, time to spend with my children that I ignored all those years, grandchildren, and to travel and do the things I want to do on my terms. And that's what made the difference for me. And I continue to invest in myself and learn new tips and tricks. Or I shouldn't say tricks. So what I'd like to do an exercise with you, and if everybody could take out their phone. I was hoping to have a QR code up here, but they didn't allow it, so I'm going to do this manually for you. I want you to go to Google Chrome, if you have it, because it works best. Does it work on regular Google? Okay. Open up your Google Chrome and type this in, www.crackmycode.com / my last name. Make sure you spell it right, K-A-V-A. / crackmycode.com / Kavanagh. Okay, and you're going to see that's going to take you to our website, and this will take less than 2 minutes. Just follow the instructions. It's going to ask you to sort 4 cards after you read them. That's all you have to do, drag them, put them in the order, top to bottom. What appeals to you? Everybody get to the site? .com / Kavanagh, as they say in Dublin. And then, if you be so kind as to put your information in after you do that, it'll prompt you to do it. And send that. And my gift to you will be a customized report that's going to tell you a lot about what your values are and what your tendencies are. And most important, how you're showing up to others. And then if you want to know how to connect with them, I'll follow up with you and then we can discuss that if you like. So just take a minute to do that and let me know when you're done. Can I play some writing music or something that I don't have? I could sing. Do you want me to show them the cards? Okay. Thank you. Yes, it says it's gonna be sending you a report? Yes, that's my gift to you. You're welcome. Now, you can look at that at your leisure, it'll come through in an email. In case you don't see it, it's a somewhat larger size file, so check your spam if that should happen. Everybody pretty much done with that? Excellent, so.
But we should fill before something because I get now a code, I have no connection to it, I don't know why I get.
I'll help you after, how's that? Remind me after and I'll help you with it.
Okay.
So, now that's one way we do that. And that's one way, like, if I'm gonna come and meet you, I have you do that, and when I show up, I know just how to connect with you. If I can't get that ahead of time, we also have these little cards that you just looked at. I just hand them to you, you sort them, give them back to me. I said, now I know who you are, let's sit down. And I will connect with you in a different approach depending on what your personality style is. So this is one that I really love because there's hundreds of personality types out there in tests and everything. We've all taken them. This one is the first one I found that is reverse engineered. So instead of I take one and it tells me about me, I know about you and I know how to approach you. That's where my success rate really started to go up, between that and having compassion. So we're getting towards the end here. In the sales process, one of the things, if you put yourself first and you're egocentric and you just worry about your win, well, that's a win. But when you learn to put people first and understand how they think, what their values are, and what they want out of the relationship, because after all, it is a relationship, that's when true success starts to happen. Now, I said earlier, business problems are also personal problems are also business problems, are intertwined. I want to close by telling you a story of how, when I did this with a gentleman, I'm not taking credit for it, but him and I both agreed that I probably saved his life. So I got a call one day to go list a property, and I got to take a drink of water, because Las Vegas doesn't have a lot of humidity in here, does it? So I'll call this gentleman, Steve, called me up, said, Joe, I want to list my property. I like what your company has to offer online and everything, so I want you to come and talk to me about it. I said, sure, obviously that's what I do. So I go over and meet with them, and one of the first things we do is we ask for a tour of the home. We want to see what they have, and it used to be a way that I would use to figure out who they are, so I could relate to them. Now I don't need to. And as we went through the house, he said, okay, let's go sit down at the table and talk. Well, there was one door that was closed, and we hadn't gone in there yet, which I suspected was his bedroom. So I'm thinking, well, maybe it's a mess, he didn't want to show it. I said, is it okay to see that room too, so I can see the whole property? He said, well, I got to tell you something. He says, I lost my wife 2 weeks ago. And this gentleman's my age, just for reference. And I haven't been able to go back in there since. And that's why I want to move. I can't stay here, I got to make a change. Now, knowing this, and other tools, using some NLP, etc., I was quickly realizing that he was in no condition to be selling his home, because he's still in shock, and he's got some trauma to work through, and grief. So we talked for a while, we bonded very well. He said, you're definitely my guy. I want you to list my house. I said, Steve, I can't list your house. And he looked at me in shock, like, you're a real estate agent. That's what you do. What are you talking about? That's how you make your living. I said, that's right, Steve. Now having integrity and compassion, I said, Steve, if I may be honest with you, you're in a tough situation right now, and you're going through some grief that needs to be processed. And I do not want you to make an irrational decision. I want to be your agent. Yes, I want to sell your house, but when the time's right. So what I want you to do is take your time, get through this. When the time's right, reach out to me. And the good news is, in this era, I think it was the beginning of COVID, I said, the good thing is, real estate values are only going up. So when the time does come, you're gonna be making more money anyway. So take your time. So to summarize, how much time do I have? Please?
8.
8?
Minutes.
Perfect. So to move it along, about 6 months later, he called me back. He says, I'm moving to Milwaukee from Charleston. My sister's coming down from Milwaukee to help me clean out the house and move. And I'm ready to make that move. So please come list the house. Great. So I go over there with the paperwork, get introduced to his sister, tell her what we're gonna do. And all of a sudden they start to get into a really heated argument. And he kept saying to her things like, you just don't understand what I'm going through. You can't understand. And she said, of course I understand, when you know how that goes. And at one point he mentioned taking himself out of the situation. And I knew what that meant. I knew he had a gun. Because he made a comment earlier about blowing his finger off, cleaning it. Still a hole in the wall, he showed it to me. So I'm not a psychologist, whoever it is that you should talk to professionally. I'm like, oh boy, this is a tough situation. Anyway, the boyfriend of his sister heard the commotion. He was outside cleaning. He came in and he extracted her from the situation. And I talked to Steve and I said, Steve, I know you're going through a tough time. And I've heard you mention more than once that you thought about taking yourself out of it and ending it all. I said, I want to ask you a favor, and if you please just consider this. He said, sure, what is it? I said, when you go to Milwaukee, and I can't understand what you're going through, I have not experienced that, thank God. But there are a lot of men out there that are experiencing what you're going through. So instead of just giving up, would you at least consider, when you go to Milwaukee, join a support group? And I'm not saying maybe because you want it or need it, but you could help those guys. And you could probably save a life or two or more. And his whole demeanor changed, and he said, geez, Joe, I never thought about that. He said, I will definitely think about it. And he did. Thank God he decided to do that. And that was about a year and a half ago. And the last time I talked to Steve, it was about, I think it was 6 months ago. And he had done that. And he joined a group. And he has reached out to me a few times just to thank me. And I knew that was success when I got to that point. So that's what changed, and that's what made me successful. So just to summarize, when you show up heart-centered and people-focused, and you put them first and not you first, that's when great things happen. And you listen to relate, as Brigitte hopefully spoke about, not just to respond. And with an abundance mindset. Real quick, I had a listing I had, and it happened to be for a widow. And her husband had done all the finances. She didn't know anything about anything that way. And she had to sell this $1 million home. And I happened to be the third agent that came in to help her. And I told her I would get the job done. And I was out there blowing the leaves one day getting ready for a showing, thank you. And the neighbor came over and he says, oh, you're the agent now. I said, yeah, but I'm the one that's gonna sell it. And he said, yeah, and you're just gonna get a great commission when you do that. And all of a sudden it hit me. And I said, well, my job is to accomplish her goal. The money will follow. And he looked me straight in the eye and he said, sir, you are a great agent and a gentleman. That hit me very strongly, and it's become pretty much my core belief, and it's the way I go into all my appointments now. How can I help you? Can I help you? And if I can, it's okay. We can't help everybody. We can't relate to everybody. So I want to close with 3 points here. One, ego alone is not going to do it. Definitely not going to do it. 2, you want to listen to relate, learn who that other person is, what their answer is in this relationship, and focus on that. And 3, as I said in the beginning, what does love have to do with the sales cycle? Everything. Everything. You've been a great audience. I want to thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? I think we'll just leave that right there.
Yeah.